No,
Sorry, go ahead. Hit a button.
um, no, I mean, I appreciate it, Coach Mike, for letting me be here and just giving me the chance to talk to the club. I'm a big fan of the union, and I'm happy to be here, giving you some thoughts on what we do at Georgetown.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Mike, why don't you get started, with, we were talking a little bit about, obviously it's a crazy time for any college team right now. We want to talk a little bit about what Georgetown's doing, what you've endured, because, similar to club soccer, you guys have been on the shelf and having some limitations. Us, we were able to get out there and have a fall, but just recently we were shut down. So we're doing the virtual stuff again. So talk a little bit about what you guys are doing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm happy to touch on a lot of these topics as well as answer any questions I can that you guys have. So feel free to put something in the chat or to unmute yourself and feel free to speak up if you have any questions. I'd love to chat with you guys about it and answer any questions you have. So at Georgetown, we're the first semester here, the entire fall semester, we were completely virtual. So we couldn't do anything with our team, with our players. We had to do everything via Zoom, so I know you guys were doing workouts and things like that and coaches meetings and films and different things to try to do what you could. But it was really hard as the defending national champions, with guys who take their soccer really, really seriously, to not be able to do anything with them for the better part of 4 months. So now we are just been cleared, looking like we're going to be coming back in January to compete for a proper NCAA season again, and hopefully make another run at a national championship. So we're excited about that, but we're fully aware of how hard it is to start, stop, and do all the things that COVID mandates. So we're just excited to be able to get out and play and take every opportunity that we get to get better.
What are you guys doing? So like at our club, we're focusing a lot on just the kind of the Corver type stuff that you can do with a ball in front of your computer. Coach Skeet does some Saturday morning workouts, strength stuff for us. But I mean, are you guys doing something similar, or what are you guys doing?
Yeah, we did. We did a lot of we set a lot of individual workouts. So we designed a number of sessions that the guys can do on the fields on their own or in their basement or whatever. So we designed those type of workouts where they're getting touches on the ball probably 4 to 5 times a week as best as they can. And then you're also looking at some fitness routines that we put in place, giving the guys some access to, our strength and conditioning coaches that can provide like running workouts and lifting workouts, even though we can't go to the workout room, even though we can't go to the weight room, we're still getting those workouts and those sessions in as best as we can. And then we also focused a lot on leadership. We focused a lot on leadership and just character and culture, and trying to use that time to instill good habits for the team moving forward. We talked a little bit about, captains and leadership and, things like that, which depending on Mike Griff, depending on how you wanted to proceed today, I did have something prepared if you wanted to kind of go through that, or if you wanted to just do a fire question and answer. It's up to you, my friend.
No, let's hop into what you have prepared. You would need me to share this or give you permission to host?
Yeah. If you can let me share the screen, yep, that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, one second. Let me do that. Hold on, gotta find you.
And I guess as Mike is looking at the option of being able to let me do that, again, it's completely up to everybody here. But if you'd like to show your video, show your screen, that's always appreciated by me, just so I can see who I'm talking to and engage with you a little bit. I was going to show a little bit of a physical type of workout to start off and just kind of get the blood flowing a little bit. So if you want to do that and show your screen, that'd be wonderful. If not, again, feel free to do what you need to do. But I'd love to just, if you guys want to be willing to show your face, that'd be great. So
you should be able to do it now, Mike Casper. I gave you permission.
Perfect. Okay, well, I wanted to start out. I'm actually going to stand up. And before we show the screen, if you guys can see me here, I wanted you to just take an opportunity now as we get moving here to just hold your arms up like this. Okay, so if you're standing there, if you're not doing it, Mike Griff, come on, this is you too, my friend. Get up, show the picture. I'm going to ask you to stand up and put your arms up just like this. So it's like kind of like an iron cross. Okay, kind of like an iron cross. And as you do that, I'm going to ask you to do that for about 2 minutes. Okay, and I want you to think about, just as you're doing that for 2 minutes, I just want you to think about what's happening and if you'd be willing to share with me in a little bit kind of how you're feeling about things. Okay, so just kind of hold on to that for a second, almost like you're in the Olympics, holding on to those rings that you see the gymnasts do, and then you're holding yourself up like that. Okay, right now we're about 30 seconds, so about another minute and a half more to go. Okay. While you're doing that, I've just been, been hearing wonderful things again about the club, about what's been going on with you guys, about the unfortunate news of having to go back to virtual, but love the fact that Coach Mike and Coach Ashley and everyone that you're involved with is looking at trying to find ways to continue to make you better. Okay, so that's about a minute now. That's about a minute. One more minute. So if you're still doing it, again, I can only see one screen, and it's you, Mike Griff, so I have no idea if anybody else is doing this. But yeah, there you go. Now you're doing it too. So in the meantime, I don't know if anybody else is doing it. I'm just wondering how they're feeling, how they're feeling now as we get to about a minute and a half. Okay, about 30 more seconds to go.
This is actually a big trick, Mike Casper. We just have you on here looking like a fool with your arms held out like that.
See, I consider myself looking awesome. Like
What are we going to? 2 minutes?
2 minutes, and that's about 2 minutes right there. Okay, so now just kind of wondering if anybody's willing here. If anybody's willing, would you be willing to chime in, to unmute yourself, and just tell me how you felt about that? Any thoughts?
Big Red, talk to us.
My arms got heavy and the gravity was pushing me down.
Yeah, is that Big Red, Mike Griff?
Yeah.
All right, Jack, and Big Red. I appreciate the thought. So the arm started to get heavy, and the gravity started pushing you to the ground. Anyone else? Anyone else do it? And what did you feel?
Mikey, you're on. Where's he at?
My arms felt heavy.
Your arms felt heavy. Okay, good. Anybody else now? Can you tell me, either Big Red or Mikey, again, if you're willing, or anyone else who's here, what was your mind telling you while you were doing that? What was your mind telling you before you started, and what was your mind telling you while you were doing it?
I felt heavy and I wanted to put my arms down.
Yeah, right. You wanted to put your arms down. Your mind is telling you that this is hard, right? This is hard. I want to put my arms down, right? Anyone else? Any other thoughts?
I was glad I wasn't holding gallon jugs while doing it.
Absolutely. I thought about either making you hold up like milk gallons or soccer balls too while you're doing it. It's a whole nother challenge too when you do that, but absolutely. Yeah, gallon jugs would have been really tough. But I appreciate that. I appreciate you guys doing that. I appreciate you giving me your thoughts. And we're going to get back to that in a minute. Okay, there's a reason why I asked you to do that. We're going to get back to it in a minute. And I just wanted to kind of start from here. So let me go into the slideshow here and we'll get started. Mike Griff, can you see that? Is that working?
Yeah. Yep, we can see it.
Awesome. Okay. So 3 things I really wanted to talk about with you. Leadership, a thing called growth mindset, and goal setting. And I know I'm going to kind of go through these topics quickly. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to unmute yourself, stop me, feel free to chime in as you like. These are all things that are very, very important for us at Georgetown. You can kind of see, you don't win national championships easily, and I know a lot of work was done before I got to Georgetown, and I'm certainly not the reason why they won it. But at the end of the day, a lot of work goes into it on the field, off the field, and of course, leadership and mentally wise. So just want to talk about leadership. Do any of you guys have any thoughts on what leadership is? What is leadership, or what does being a captain mean? What does it mean to you?
To lead a team.
Sure. What does it mean? Yeah, okay, to lead a team, right? Good. What does that mean, though? What does it mean to lead a team? What is required of someone to lead a team?
Set by example.
To be like the captain.
Okay, a captain's a great one, and I also heard someone chime in saying lead by example. Absolutely right. Those are great answers. Lead by example, to be a captain. What else? What else? Other thoughts that you have that might be leadership?
Motivate others.
Motivate others, absolutely, for sure. Huge portion of leadership is motivating others. Any other one want to chime in?
be supportive of your teammates, even if their mistakes take place.
Yeah, right. To be supportive, right? So, leadership isn't always being there when the times are good, but it's being there when the times are bad, when mistakes happen, when maybe you don't win the game that you thought you should have. Being able to support your teammates and be there for your team when things go wrong as well. Great answer. Anyone else? Okay. Just a couple of quick little pictures here, right, that I want you to see. Some of the things that you guys talked about, right, in terms of what leadership is. And this can be, of course, a coach, or this can be a captain on the team. And I know Coach Mike told me that, there's going to be a wide range of ages here, from anywhere from 9 years old to high school. And whether you're ready to be a sophomore, junior, senior in high school, or whether you're 9, 10 years old, leadership is still important, right? And leadership is still something that you should be thinking about and working towards even at a young age. So just a couple things that you guys nailed, empowering people, inspiring people, motivating others, working hard, communication, supporting your teammates. You can see some of the different things there. Working on the skills that you're supposed to have, taking responsibility for yourself and for your actions, of course, having competence in what you do. And one of the pictures I love the most is that picture on the top right, where you kind of see the boss versus the leader picture, right? The boss is on top and he's in the sled that the three guys are in front of him are pulling, right? And so there's another picture there of the leader who's out in front pulling the sled, not sitting there barking orders. And the reason why I think that's important, right, is because so many times we think as leaders or as captains, it means that you get to tell everybody else what to do. Right, you get to be the boss. You get to make the rules. You get to have all the say in what happens. And one of the things I would encourage you to do as you start thinking about leadership, even at a young age, is to lead by example as best as you can. Okay, one of the things we talk about with our captains at Georgetown is making sure that they're leading by example. Okay, leading by example and not just dictating orders, but they're actually showing the pictures of what we want to see. Okay, you can kind of see here, just kind of answer that question a little bit. What is leadership and what does it take to be a good leader, right? So as you're thinking about this, and again, it can be in a captain setting, it can be in a non-captain role, even in terms of things that you want to be thinking about to one day be a leader or to show leadership to your team. There's a book that we read this year with the Georgetown men's team called The Captain's Class. And basically what it did was it looked at all the successful teams across the history of soccer, right? So from the women's U.S. national team to Barcelona to Real Madrid to the New Zealand rugby team to the Chicago Bulls to the Boston Celtics to the Houston Rockets to all the different teams from all the different sports. And they looked at the captains of all of those teams and they tried to figure out what were the best captains' traits across all of those teams. What was consistent amongst all the teams that were the best of the best. And what they found out was these were some of the things that their captains, that their leaders showed all the time, right? So they showed, you guys can read this here, I don't necessarily have to read it all, but they showed extreme doggedness and focus in competition, right? So they're always ready to play, they're always geared up, they're always set and ready to do their best when it's time to play. They play hard, right? They're aggressive, they play hard, they don't play scared. They play aggressive, they're not afraid to make mistakes, they don't play soft. They're a willingness to do thankless jobs in the shadows. Again, sometimes captains means to think that we don't have to do anything. We don't have to carry the balls. We don't have to, fill up the water jugs. We don't have to drop the cones. These are always things that we think we don't have to do anymore because we're the captains, because we're the leaders. And what the best teams across the history of sports have shown is that their captains are always willing to do the little jobs, okay? A low-key practical communication style. Now, again, you're going to see captains of all sorts, who are fiery, right? They've got that fire in them. They've got that spark to be able to show and to speak, and that's fine. But what they found again over the course of history is that the best captains on the absolute best teams were the ones that communicated, of course, powerful when they had to, but also in a way that was calm and reserved, right, and practical to make sure that their message was heard in more ways than just the fiery leader. Motivates others with passionate nonverbal displays. Because you know what, and you guys know this as much as I do, if a guy's all talk, right? If there's a captain or if there's someone who's all talk but doesn't back it up on the field, there's no chance they're going to be listened to, right? You're not going to listen to any of that words that they're talking about. They have to live what they're talking about. So if they're passionate, nonverbal, that if they're working their hard as they can on the field, they're doing the work in the weight room, doing the runs off the field, working hard in the classroom, doing everything they can that's showing leadership without speaking is going to be listened to pretty powerfully, right? Strong convictions and the courage to stand apart. This one is really, really important because oftentimes when you're a leader, you're going to recognize that things aren't always going right. And you've got to be able to stand on what's right and stand on what you believe to be able to make sure the other kids on the team are doing it the way they're supposed to, right? So being a leader is hard work in that regard. And then of course, ironclad emotional control. You can't be wishy-washy on the field. You can't be someone who's, when things are great, you're up, and when things are down, you're bad. When things are down, you can't handle it, right? You've got to be able to handle the winning, the losing, the setbacks, the successes, all in the same vein, all with the same emotional control. So again, leadership is hard, right? It's hard. There's not just one right way to do it. You won't be perfect at it, and that's okay. And dealing with adversity while you make mistakes as a leader is part of becoming a good leader for your team. Any questions about any of that, about leadership, about some of those things that we just talked about? Anything stand out to you? Any questions about any of that?
Mike, I'll just, while anybody else is thinking about what they're going to say, I'll just kind of go back to our time at UMBC together when we were playing, and the point you said where you got to be the same when losing as you are when winning, right? We went through some tough years before we got to the our final year, the '99 year, where the team was nationally ranked and in the NCAA tournament and everything, and the core of that team had to go through that losing before they could win.
Absolutely right, Mike Griff. I mean, a lot of times, you've got to figure out how to win. You have to learn how to do it. I have a saying that we talk about with our Georgetown guys and that I've used with some of my other teams before is first of all, you have to learn how to compete, right? You have to learn how to compete and get after it. Then you have to learn how to win. You have to learn how to win games. And then you have to learn how to win consistently. And we're gonna talk about some of those different things even now. But Mike Griff, you're exactly right, is handling those setbacks and learning from that, right? Learning from that and growing from that versus letting it knock you down is oftentimes what propels you to the next level of success. Talk about growth mindset at all. Have any of you guys ever heard of growth mindset? Do any of you know anything about growth mindset? Okay, probably not, and that's okay. This is something that I just learned about a little bit ago, and it's something that you can use in your education, like in your schooling. It can work on the field for you. It can also work in your relationships, and I think it's something that you want to think about between fixed mindset and growth mindset. And again, whether you're 9 years old or whether you're 15, this is going to be important to think about, even as coaches, as grown men and women. This is something that we can be thinking about as well. Because I know once I started to think about this, it's also changed the way that I parent. It's changed the way that I try to engage with my wife, and changed the way that I do things personally. So growth mindset versus fixed mindset, right? So growth mindset embraces challenges. Fixed mindset avoids challenges, right? Learns from feedback and takes criticism. Fixed mindset ignores criticism. So basically, when your coach is talking with you, right, trying to teach you, or your boss is trying to teach with you, and they're getting on you for trying to make you better, do you ignore that feedback, thinking that, oh, I'm right, this is what I wanted to do, this is what I tried, I'm not going to listen to your feedback? Or do you accept that criticism and try to use it to make you better? More effort versus less effort. Fixed mindset gives up easily. Growth mindset keeps trying and never gives up. Persists in the face of setbacks. Fixed mindset, it's easy to come and say that I'm a failure. Growth mindset, you're inspired by others' success, right? Fixed mindset, you're threatened by others' success. Sometimes when we see players in our team, we see one guy scoring all kinds of goals, or one girl, making all these saves, and sometimes we're either intimidated by that success or we're threatened by it. Right? We think, okay, maybe they're going to take my spot, or there's no chance I'm going to be able to play because they're doing so well. It almost gets to a point where you start to root against your teammates. I don't know if that's ever happened to any of you guys, but sometimes, or girls, but sometimes it happens. And you know, growth mindset, you're going to see other people's success and you're going to use that as motivation for you, right? So Johnny just scored 4 goals in a game. Well, great. That doesn't threaten me in terms of what I need to do. That inspires me to make me want to do more and to be better. You know, you want to keep learning versus why should I bother? Take time and work hard at what you're doing versus I will never improve, right? So again, fixed mindset versus growth mindset is something there you're focusing on the outcome versus focusing on the result, right? Focusing on the outcome versus focusing on the result. So winning versus losing, right? If my focus is only on winning versus losing, that's a fixed mindset, right? If I'm only worried about getting A's in school, not thinking about the journey that I'm on, not thinking about learning, not thinking about the process, that's a fixed mindset. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, coach, we have to win games, right? We have to win games. We have to get A's. Like I need to perform in these things in order to get into the right colleges. I need to, you know, to win games in order to get right into the right tournaments. Yes, absolutely right. Like these are things that are important in life. I'm a coach, right? I'm a coach where my paycheck, my livelihood is determined by how well our team does, right? So if I'm not focused on winning and losing, I'd be telling you that I'm lying. But that can't be my main focus, and it can't be where my heart is because of the things that we're going to get into here shortly. Again, just a couple different things that I want you to think about. Fixed mindset avoids challenges. Growth mindset views challenges as opportunities, right? Acknowledge and embrace your weaknesses versus shying away from things you don't know. Are you someone that hides when you're put into a situation where you're uncomfortable, or are you someone that's going to step forward and embrace that difficulty in order to potentially make yourself better? You know, we talked again about learning to give and receive criticism versus unable to handle criticism or feedback, right? We talked about, you know, giving up easily versus being able to persist in the face of setback. Okay. So why do we talk about growth mindset, right? Why? And again, I know I'm glossing over this very quickly, but why do we talk about it? You know, because hopefully it's going to enhance our performance, right? Hopefully if we're thinking more about the process versus the end result, it's going to hopefully make us better, right? So what I want you to think about here is your mindset will determine your motivation. Okay, what I mean by that is based on how you see things, how you think about things, it's either going to determine how hard you work at it, or do I sit down and relax, or take my foot off the gas pedal, or just give up entirely because I'm never going to get there, right? So your mindset will determine your motivation. Your motivation, of course, will determine your effort. So how level of motivated you are is going to determine how hard you work. And then, of course, your daily effort will determine whether or not you reach your potential, right? We're going to talk about, you know, being the best possible version of yourself, not succeeding to a point where you're winning a championship, but becoming the best possible version of yourself. Does anybody know who this is? Can anybody unmute themselves and tell me who this is?
Sir Alex.
Thank you, Mike Griff. I know as a Liverpool fan, you must hate that. In fact, I'm a Liverpool fan too, and I hate it. I hate the fact that I'm putting up Sir Alex because he's the manager or the former manager of Manchester United. So all of you guys or girls out there who are Manchester United fans, this is maybe the best manager in history, right? Maybe the most successful manager in history.
I'm ending this phone call right now, Mike Casper.
Right. I mean, I'd love to put Kloppo up there for us, but we got to wait a couple more years to see if he's going to be at the same level as Sir Alex, unfortunately. But so you're right, Manchester United. And again, I love this quote from Sir Alex, right? I love this quote. I love the way he thought about things. He's the most successful manager maybe in the history of the Premier League. And he says, we don't train to win championships. Rather, we train like champions, and championships seem to follow. Right? So just think about that, right? He's not training to win the Premier League, right? He's not training to win the Champions League. He trained and took the approach every day that said, we're going to train like champions. So every day his focus was on getting better versus every day his focus being, we're going to win the Premier League, right? And of course, if you think about winning the Premier League on day one, it's foolish, right? Because you got 38 games to play. You had 38 games to play, so you can't think about it on day one. All we can do is think about getting better every day. So even as you guys think about your seasons and hopefully your upcoming spring seasons here, and you think about your high school seasons along the way too, you're not going to win a county championship on the first day of the year. You're not going to win the state cup in your first scrimmage game, but how can we prepare to win those tournaments? How can we prepare to be successful? And it's not by focusing on winning, but it's by focusing on the things that lead to winning. And I want you to think about that. John Wooden, I know none of you know who that is. Maybe the adults in the room know who that is. He was a former UCLA basketball coach. He talked about winning 10 national championships in a row, right? So part of the March Madness, the Final Four that I know we all get excited about, right? Come March, and hopefully we have a March Madness this upcoming season. But won 10 basketball championships in a row. Insane, right? It'd be like Coach K and Duke or John Calipari in Kentucky winning 10 in a row, which just doesn't happen. But he said true success is peace of mind that is the direct result of self-satisfaction and knowing you did your best to become the best that you are capable of becoming, right? So true success is not winning titles. And he won 10 of them. He said true success is not winning games or winning $1 million or, becoming the champion that season. But true success is knowing that you became the best you could possibly become, right? The best you could possibly be is what you became. And then lastly, let me go back. For any of us who are academics, right? Thomas Edison. You guys all probably know who Thomas Edison is. You probably all learned about that in grade school. Invented the light bulb, right? And I love this quote. It says, "I never once failed at making a light bulb. I just found out 99 ways not to make one," right? So he looked at failure as an opportunity. He looked at failure as success in terms of not thinking, okay, that's obviously not how it's made. So he thought of every mistake, every misstep, every time it didn't work as knowledge towards what he could do to make it work, right? So again, thinking about those kind of things in terms of how we handle failure, how we approach success, how we approach a season, right? I think about those three quotes all the time. Kind of moving forward, again, developing a growth mindset, and we're kind of moving on, but embrace challenges, right? I want you guys to think about embracing challenges. I want you to think about loving learning. I want you to think about not giving up, but to keep going. I can't do it versus I can do it. I always fail versus I will learn from failure. This is impossible versus this will take time and work, but I'm going to get it, right? Think about how you accept feedback and praise, and then think about how you learn from your failure, right? All of these things are going to lead to more success than just focusing on the outcome of what you're doing. And then lastly, I wanted to think about goal setting, right? Goal setting. I know we've got this maybe 10 more minutes or so. I want to think about goal setting, right? So we talked about leadership. We talked about growth mindset. And I want to talk about goal setting, right? So goals, as we prepare coaches, as we prepare what we want to do for seasons, or players, as you prepare how you begin to think about what you want to do. I know we're an outcome driven world. If my team doesn't win, I get fired, right? It's just reality. If the coach of the Baltimore Ravens, John Harbaugh, doesn't win, he's fired, right? That's just the truth of what we do. But again, that cannot be my singular focus, because if all of I do is worried about winning or losing, one, if I don't win the Super Bowl every year, doesn't mean the Baltimore Ravens didn't have a good season, as much as Mike Griffin would argue that. I think about the Browns. I'm a Browns fan, right? So I know some of you guys who follow football might understand this. The Browns have never been good in ever, right? Ever. They're never good. But they might make the playoffs this year. And I guarantee you they're probably not going to make the Super Bowl. But making the playoffs is a good season for them, right? And so it doesn't mean if you don't win the championship, it doesn't mean that you didn't have a good year. Again, so we'll talk about some of this again as we go on. Fixed mindset goals versus growth mindset goals. Okay, so I want you to think about this. Fixed mindset goals, right? I want to win the state cup this year. I want to be a starter on varsity this year. I want to score 15 goals this year. Okay, in thinking about that, those aren't bad. Those aren't bad things that you want to achieve, right? Those are things that we all want to do, that we all want to achieve. But I caution you to not have that be your only goal, right? I want you to think about Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan, when he was in high school, got cut from the varsity team. Okay, maybe the best player in history. Maybe LeBron James is better now. Who knows? But Michael Jordan, when he was in high school, got cut from the varsity team. And how do you think that motivated him? You know, as he approached that next year of his training, he worked as hard as he possibly could to make sure not only was he a starter on varsity, was he on varsity, but he was a starter and maybe the best player on that varsity team the next year. He used it as motivation versus using it as, I'm going to give up. So I want you to think about these type of things instead, right? I want to win the state cup this year. Okay, well, how are you going to do that, right? How are you going to do that? What are we going to do in order to win the state cup this year? I want to be a starter on varsity. Okay, well, what is going to earn that for you? What are you going to do that's going to earn that for you? And then I want to score 15 goals this year. What are you going to do to make that happen? Okay, so these are just kind of things that I want to think about here as we move forward. Okay, I want you to think about SMART goals. Okay, so I don't know if you're taking any notes, if you want to write this down, but your goals should be what we call SMART. Okay, they should be specific. Okay, they should be specific. They should be measurable. Okay, when I say specific, it means I should be thinking about specifically what I want to get better at. Okay, it should be measurable, meaning can I measure what I'm doing? So for an instance, if I'm going to work to get better at juggling, maybe my goal shouldn't be, okay, I'm going to juggle 500 times today, because the ball's probably going to drop, right? It's going to drop. But what I can measure is I'm going to spend 15 minutes juggling today. And I want you to be able to measure the goals that you have, right? Attainable. Again, so if I've never juggled before, and I set a goal of 1,000 juggles, that's probably not attainable tomorrow. It's probably not attainable, next week. So I want you to think about, can your goals be attainable? So maybe on day one, say, okay, I'm going to juggle for 15 minutes and I'm going to hope to get 5. I'm going to hope to get 5. So it's an attainable goal in terms of how much time you can spend on it, and it's an attainable goal in terms of something that you can actually achieve. Because if you set your goal at 1,000 and you get to 5, you're probably going to be pretty upset that you didn't even get close. And you might get disheartened so much that you might not come back the next day and do it again. Okay, so now the next one has to be relevant. So if I'm a soccer player and I'm a center forward, right, and I'm a goal scorer, my relevant training shouldn't necessarily be stopping shots in goal. It shouldn't necessarily be 1v1 defending, even though we all have to get better at that kind of stuff. But can your training and your goals be relevant towards what's going to make you successful on the field, right? So can you think about your first touch? Can you think about your finishing? Can you think about, ways that you can score? And then lastly, can it be time-based, right? So can you actually measure how often you're going to be able to do it, and how fast do you want to get to that goal? Okay, we'll kind of move on. So what should my timeline be, right? Daily goals. What does your day look like, right? What do you want to accomplish today? So think about what you're going to do tomorrow, right? What are you going to put down in place to actually become better at what you want to do tomorrow? And then write it down. Because if you write it down and you set up a goal and a planner on what your day is going to look like, you probably have a better chance of following it than just saying, okay, well, tomorrow I'm going to juggle. Well, what happens tomorrow when you want to play video games? Or what happens tomorrow when a friend comes over? Or what happens tomorrow when you have to do homework? Well, because you didn't write it down, you didn't prioritize what you want to do, you might not even get to it, right? So I want you to think about having your goals set for daily, weekly, monthly, seasonal, and yearly goals. And I won't go down into all of those, but I want you to think about, what can you do daily? What can you do in a week? What can you do monthly to be able to get better at what you're talking about? Again, process-driven thinking versus result-driven thinking. Okay? So growth mindset goals, again, can I spend 20 minutes a day with the ball? Right? Can I work with the ball 4 days a week? So we're not talking about now starting on varsity, right? We're talking about, can I spend 20 minutes a day with the ball? We're talking about, can I work out 4 days a week with the ball? Can I spend 15 minutes after each session working on finishing, right? So I'm thinking about something relevant that I can do every session afterwards when I'm done. And I guarantee you, if you think about it this way, you're going to find out that you're going to become a better player, and you're going to enjoy the process of getting better. And oftentimes when you get better, you find out that you achieve much, much more, right? But then the thought process isn't just on doing what you need to do to get the result, but enjoying the process, enjoying the successes, enjoying the failures of getting there, okay? So what are your goals? Okay, what are your goals? I'm actually going to ask you to do this right now. If you have any paper where you are, on your desk, on your TV stand, wherever you are that you might be watching this presentation, what are your daily goals? What are you going to do tomorrow? Write down. I would really challenge you to take some time and think about this. What are you going to do tomorrow? What are you going to do as a goal for the week? And what are you going to do? What should a monthly goal for you be? Again, don't think about winning the championship, right? Don't think about winning the state cup come May or June. Think about, how am I going to become a better player tomorrow? How am I going to become a better player this week? How are we going to be a better team this month, right? And so as you think about these things, your own personal goals, your growth mindset that we've talked about, and then your leadership in order to lead yourself and others to help your team achieve the different things that you know you want to achieve. Do we have anyone who might be willing to talk about what their daily goal tomorrow is going to be? Did anyone write it down?
Come on, Greg Faraday.
What's a possible daily goal for tomorrow? Tuesday.
Coach Mike, I was busy taking notes. That's why my daily goal for tomorrow is to get up in the morning and work out. I wrote that down.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you, Coach Greg.
Anyone else? Any other players or coaches out there that have anything what they're going to do tomorrow? What's the goal for tomorrow to help you become a better player, a better coach, a better husband, a better wife, a better person? Anything that you might do tomorrow to make that happen?
Skeet, you out there? Coach Skeet? See the Manchester United Flames.
Always great. I'm always out here. Honestly, the biggest thing is always, once I get up, I always get up early. I check on my kids, I guess. Just to see them, I guess, just sleeping, you know what I mean? That just brings me that joy to wake up every morning to get started, to get them started. Just a great thing for me.
Oh, I love that. And Coach Skeet, you must have been enjoying the talk about Sir Alex earlier, if you're a Manchester United guy. But
oh yeah, and saying Griff squirm when you said it was great.
even better, right? No, Coach Skeet, you're talking about becoming a better father, right? You're being a better father, and your goal isn't necessarily to be a better father, and maybe it is, but at the end of the day, the measurable step that you can take every day is to wake up every morning and watch your kids. I love it. I absolutely love that answer. Anybody else? And we're almost done here. Just anyone else? Okay, well, I'm going to unshare my screen here, Coach Mike.
All right.
And kind of get back to the normal. And that's kind of what I had prepared for everybody. And so I hope that you can take something from this, whether it be, I know I talked about a lot of things. I know I talked very quickly, but maybe it's something about leadership, right? What it takes to become a good leader, right? How do I become a captain or someone on the team who influences others, who can show the right pictures towards influencing others, or maybe it was something about growth mindset in terms of how we think about things. Because if all we do is think about wins or losses, right? Unless we win the championship every season, which only happens for one team, right? Only one team every year can win the title. We think about our success. We think about ourselves as failures, right? We think about ourselves as not accomplishing anything. And so what I want to encourage you to do is think about how you can really enjoy the process of what you do, right? How to make yourself better daily, weekly, monthly, versus focusing on, okay, I want to be the starter, right? Or I want to be on the national team, right? That's a lofty, lofty goal that doesn't happen without plenty of little successes along the way, right? So think about that journey. Think about what it takes to get you there versus the actual outcome of what you're trying to do. But then, or finally, maybe it's goal setting, right? Think about how you can set goals for yourself in terms of what you might be able to do. Again, do I want to be do I want to be an all conference forward this year for high school? Well, okay, that's a great goal, but think about what it takes for you to work on your finishing, to work on your first touch, to work on your back to goal technique, and all these things. I promise you, not only will you enjoy the sport more and enjoy the game more, you're going to become much better at it, and you're going to have much more success. Again, remember Coach Wooden, true success is knowing that you became the best you could possibly be. It's not about how much you win or lose, but it's knowing that you took as much of the work as you could to become as good as you possibly could be. And that's all I've got. But happy to answer any questions, Coach, or anything you want to talk about in the closing minutes here.
Yeah, no, great stuff, and honestly, a good reminder right now for all of us, with the majority of us being shut down, whether we're a player or a coach, that there are still things that we can do to continue to attain our goals. It's a good time to do some planning like this, right, and kind of reground ourselves. So I thought it was a great message. Mike, how much of this do you guys do at Georgetown? I mean, is this a part of the weekly, kind of grind for the guys?
We talk about it all the time, and it really starts with the messaging from the coaches to the players, so we don't really talk about as much of a talented team as we have. We don't talk about the pressure of winning a game on Saturday. We don't. We talk about, okay, can we win the practice session today? Can we be really good today? Versus focusing on trying to beat Maryland on Friday night. And so we know that game's coming. But in terms of our messaging to the team, we talk about things that we can measure. So we do it all the time in terms of, just little messages to the players. We ask them to think about what their goals are, and we ask them to think about doing the same exercise that you guys just did today in terms of, how can I set up daily, weekly, monthly goals for myself, and how can I measure them to make sure that they're actually attainable and realistic.
So let me ask you, maybe I missed it. So what was the point of the arm exercise at the beginning?
Great question, Mike Griffin. Thanks for bringing me back to it. Right. So a lot of times, some of you might have been thinking, okay, what the heck, right? Why is coach asking me to do this? Right. First and foremost, why is he doing this? Okay. Instead of just being like, okay, well, I'm going to do it. And then, I'm going to see what happens. Some of you then also might have been thinking about, okay, well, now that I'm doing this, this is hard. Why am I doing this? Why am I becoming better? What's the purpose, right? What's the purpose? And some of you might have dropped inside that 2 minutes, right? You might have dropped inside that 2 minutes. You might have put your arms down because it was too heavy, right? It was too heavy. Gravity, as you guys said, was too strong. And what I want you to think about again is it's not whether you could hold out for 2 minutes or not, or it's not about why am I doing this? It's the messaging of, okay, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I'm going to get better as a result of it. So the next time you were to do it, I guarantee you probably could have made it a little bit longer, right? But it's about training your mind to think about, okay, I'm going to do this to get better versus why am I doing this? Or, man, this is hard. I'm just going to give up. And I'm not going to do this again because it was so hard.
Gotcha. Good stuff. Does anybody out there, feel free to chime in if you have any questions. We're going to wrap up here in the next 5 minutes or so. Let Mike Casper have his night. Let you guys get back to your night and gals. If anybody has any questions, if you're afraid to ask it or don't want to come off mute, you can put it in the chat as well. So, Casper, I'll ask you. So, just as far as switching tunes and kind of throwing a question out there. Obviously difficult year for the senior class, right? That's missed out on an entire year of the most important time of their recruiting. And there's a lot of kids out there that are good soccer players that aren't finding homes right now or haven't quite gotten, the look or the attention or even a phone call that they may have gotten had they gone through the regular recruiting cycle. What advice do you have to them right now? I mean, it's almost January. It's going to be very late in the recruiting cycle if they get back out on the field. What advice do you have?
Yeah, no, my heart breaks for that class. It's the hardest time in the history of recruitable athletes to be trying to be seen. And you're missing out on opportunities, not because of your own decisions. It's really, really hard. So advice that I would have, I guess, would be as best as you can. Do you have the ability to make highlight films? Do you have the ability to reach out to coaches and let them know of your interest? Showing your best clips of your highlights to these different coaches that you're hopeful to get noticed by, because the reality is we're all in the same world in the sense that we can't go watch players, so the only access we have to players right now is through these videos, so I would say make sure that your highlight films are on point. Make sure that you are prepared in that regard, and then be diligent with reaching out to coaches, letting them know of your interest, inviting them to watch your highlight film, or inviting them to watch any games that you might be able to get live streamed for them to be able to see. So it's really, really hard. And if you still don't get seen, right, and you decide you want to still enroll in college next year, you can always walk on. Or attempt to walk on, or you could potentially take a gap year if you had to do like a postgraduate year somewhere, or just wait until you can possibly get more notice from some of these schools.
I'll throw out a name for you, and this wasn't because of a pandemic or anything, but just as far as timing. So a former player of both mine and yours, Ben Kajawa, right? So I think about him in that he didn't commit to coming to St. Francis until May or June of that year. And that was simply because you had been hired as the head coach, and we talked about some possible players because you had lost some players or whatever it was. So, I tell a lot of families that right now they're going through this, they think they need to be signed by January or noticed, or at least have a conversation. And there's players where there's going to be coaching changes. There's going to be whatever, a player fails out, transfers, you name it, that get phone calls in April or May. It's kind of a needle in a haystack, but it does happen.
No doubt. So some of the best players I ever had were ones that committed to me really, really late, for whatever reason, because I didn't see them, or they didn't have an interest in the school until late, or they just weren't ready to start their process until later. Coach Mike, you're 100% right. There is still time. There is still hope for that. And you have a positive outlook that could happen for you. Benny Kajawa, who you mentioned, is one of my favorite players of all time at St. Francis. And he became, over his time there, I think a 3 to 4 year starter, and he was a huge player for us and all the success that we had. And his attitude, his mindset was just exactly what we were talking about today. But he definitely committed really late, and we were happy to get him.
That's awesome. What so I'll let you get off the hook here. I don't think anybody has questions. They're being shy tonight. Everybody's getting ready for Santa. Santa's visit at the end of the week. But what advice? We have some guys that are in the middle age range here. I'm recognizing some names on here, player wise, right? Maybe middle school age. What advice do you have for them as far as training, the things that you guys look for, what they can be doing? A little bit of what else can they be doing?
Yeah, no. What we're always looking for, most importantly, is ball mastery, right? Do you have the ability to handle the ball in all the situations that you might need to in the course of the game, right? And then, of course, with that mastery, can you handle pressure? Can you do whatever it is that's needed? Finish, pass, shoot, defend, make a save under the pressure of the game. So do you have that control, that mastery under pressure? So as you're thinking about things, work on your first touch, work on your dribbling, work on taking balls in out of the air, work on your crossing, work on your long distance passing, work on your shooting. All the different things that you'd be thinking about with mastering of the ball is going to put you in a position where you're going to be really attractive to people.
What do you think so you brought up a great point, because there's guys, and we've joked about them, that are fantastic practice players, right? Fantastic. But they can't quite transition that to success in a game. What do you think the difference is between the guys that can and just don't? What is it, mental? Is it physical? What is it?
Yeah, a lot. It could be a number of things. I think it's a great point, though. We've all seen those players, right? Who just, they can juggle 1,000 times, but when it comes to the game, they can't do what's required of them. So those type of things you see all the time. I guess my advice would be to work at putting yourself in environments where that skill is going to be challenged, right? So if you're working on dribbling and you've got a dog at the house. My wife tells this story all the time. She was a much better player than I was, but she used to train dribbling around her backyard with her dog chasing her, trying to get the ball, because now all of a sudden she had to keep it away from something, so versus just going through cones in your backyard, now she had someone who was like trying to steal the ball from her. And so she talks about that all the time as being a way that she trained. And it's even better if you have a brother or a sister or a teammate that you could potentially train with during these times to put you under pressure of what a game-like situation could be, to help master those skills, towards more realistic game-like opportunities. So when you're working on your finishing, right, it's great to just take a ball out and shoot it at an open goal. But can you put yourself in a situation where you've got to beat a player to then shoot, or, have someone play an entry pass into you, someone defending you on your back, you've got to be able to turn and then finish. Those are type of things that are going to make your skills translate to matches versus just going out to a field and shooting on an open net, which is good, but it could be better.
Nah, that's cool. Well, Mike, look, man, thanks for hopping on here. Coming up close to an hour. I want to let you maybe see your kids and your wife before you go to bed. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas to you guys and the family there at Georgetown. And we'll catch up with you. The Union will catch up with you on the other side of the new year, man. We appreciate your time and everything you've given to us over this past year.
Thank you, Coach Mike. Happy holidays to everybody on the call, and I hope I can talk to you again sometime soon.
All right, take care, Mike.
Bye.
Thank you, Coach Casper.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Mike Casper.
I hope that wasn't too much, Mike Griff, or too academic. I'm sorry if it was.
It was good. It was good. It was very deep. I got very deep. Mike Casper.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
How's everything going? All right?
Yeah, doing okay.
Good.